Hey everybody, this is Dr. V. I'm going to do a totally different reading right now. It literally just came through to me earlier this morning, and so I'm just following the obedience of spirit. This is what this is going to be a little bit more lighthearted than our usual readings, or that's the intention. But it's literally about getting some healing. It's like, go get you some healing, girl. That's literally what the message is coming through. Not just girls, but guys, everybody that's watching. This is literally a more lighthearted, fun reading around things that need to be healed right now, okay? Things that need to be healed in this divine love connection, because, there's always healing to be done. So I'm starting with, this is kind of funny. I'm going to pull 3 cards from the therapy flashcards. These are definitely meant to be kind of lighthearted energy cards, but they do have powerful messages. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So 3 cards from the therapy flashcards. The first card is repression. As you can see, these cards are ginormous. Narcissism. And guilt. Okay, so these are the things that need to be healed in this connection right now. Repression is literally about it's about an unconscious involuntary defense mechanism which expels unacceptable thoughts, fantasies, memories, or impulses from consciousness in order to protect the individual from that which might cause anxiety, pain, or guilt. Interesting, right? Because we have guilt right here. So it says, characterized by inability to satisfy pleasure instincts or excess emotion, frigidity, forgetting of past traumas or unpalatable acts, unfulfilled longings, lack of self-knowledge, fear of cutting loose, and uptightness. So someone who is repressed is someone who isn't allowing themselves to access the depth of their emotions. They're not allowing themselves to feel or acknowledge their experiences. So this is someone who, for instance, let's say that maybe they had a really challenging relationship with one of their parents. And instead of acknowledging that their relationship with their parent really, fucked them up and did a number on them, they hold their parent in this really almost exalted light. And it's not healthy. It's completely unhealthy to do that, but they're unable to access the depth of those feelings. So they're repressing them. They're shoving it down. So it's basically like putting a lid on a pot of boiling water and hoping that the lid will keep the water from spilling over. If you've ever done that, you know that it doesn't work. So what's happening right now is that somebody is repressing, or both people are repressing feelings, thoughts, impulses, things that they're afraid to feel, and that's what needs to be healed. The next card that came up is narcissism. It's interesting because I get a lot of people that will say, I don't know if my twin flame is being, kind of a pill right now, and I'm wondering if there may be a narcissist. Well, let me just say something. This is my opinion. This is not a clinical assessment, but I feel like we live in a very narcissistic culture. I feel like if countries could be diagnosed, the United States, the Western world in particular, would be narcissistic. It's very it's all about me. It's very self-centered. It's very ego-driven, and so there's a lot of what we would see as narcissistic kind of behaviors. Now, narcissistic behavior is very different than narcissism. The clinical version of narcissism versus somebody who has some narcissistic traits are very different. So just be careful about labeling. I'm a psychologist by training, and I don't even like labeling because it's just there's too much nuance. But one of the wounds that needs to be healed is narcissism, and this says, from the Greek myth of Narcissus, who fell in love with his own reflection, narcissism is an excessive preoccupation or infatuation with oneself to the exclusion of others, characterized by healthy narcissism is a balanced self-confidence, empathy, ability to take care of physical and mental well-being. Annoying narcissism is a sense of entitlement, drive to attain unattainable self-perfection, impaired capacities for concern, empathy, and love, obsessive self-critique, fixation with one's flaws, self-blame for all outcomes, and impaired capacity to empathize with those perceived as better off. It says, damn them all, I say our narcissism is well earned. That's funny. But really, it's people who are, narcissism is really about covering up. It's like an act, really covering up deep-seated insecurity. So if you see someone who seems very, who has these narcissistic traits, if you yourself have these narcissistic traits, if your counterpart has these narcissistic traits, it's about trying to mask and compensate for this deep sense of unworthiness and insecurity. These are the type of people who will need constant validation. They want people looking at them all the time. They want to feel like they're the best. They probably have a lot of anxiety because they're feeling like this is this drive to perfection is way too much, and it's a lot to bear. And so there's a lot of pressure with that. They also have, a lot of them have this inability to self-reflect, to own their own shit and their own behavior and recognize like this is a problem and this is something that needs to be taken care of. And so they will often be the type that will make them feel themselves to be the victim of situations instead of taking a personal responsibility for their role. It's like this self-obsession. If you're talking to a narcissist, literally you can like spend an hour on the phone with somebody who has more of the extreme narcissistic tendencies, and they'll spend an hour talking about themselves and never ask about you. That's kind of one of the things that you can look at. So this is something that needs to be healed within this connection. So whether it's you or whether it's them. And then there's guilt. Guilt is an emotional state produced by the imagined sense or actual knowledge that one has violated a standard or shirked a responsibility. Self-administered emotional punishment. Characterized by overcompensation, exaggerated solicitude, lack of caring, rejection of guilt, projecting, making others feel guilty instead of or in addition to feeling guilt oneself, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, psychosomatic pathology, weight gain, jail time. I feel guilt for applying this tourniquet so tightly, but strangely pleasure too. These are silly. I mean, the art is silly, but the message is true. So somebody's really struggling with guilt. So it's one or both parties is struggling with being able to feel okay with taking their own life into their own hands and having their own needs met. They're feeling guilty about perhaps hurting you or hurting someone else if they've behaved in ways that were less than divine. They're definitely feeling some guilt around that. But guilt is a self-imposed prison. If you notice the beginning, it said produced by the imagined sense or actual knowledge. But guilt is useless. It's like self-flagellation. It's just keep beating yourself up. It has no real purpose. It doesn't do any good. If you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing and you feel guilty about it, that's a healthy response to guilt. But if you feel guilty all the time about anything, or if you keep beating yourself up about something and you haven't forgiven yourself for the decisions that you've made in the past, that is unhealthy, not productive, and not an energy you want to stay in. So that is definitely something to let go of. Heal that guilt. If you've messed up in the past, like, welcome to humanity. We all have. That doesn't mean make you a bad person. It just means that it's pointing to something that you might need to address, something that you need to take care of, something that you need to heal and move forward. If you stay stuck in guilt all the time, you're never going to be able to move forward in your life. So these are some of the blocks and some of the things that need to be healed. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards from the Rebel deck. I love this deck, by the way. It's freaking hilarious. So Spirit, some messages from the Rebel deck for the blocks to healing. Get you some healing. That's literally what this is all about. That's what it's all about. Okay. Messages from Spirit from the Rebel deck. The first, take a fucking trip. Go see some shit, do some new things, talk to people cooler than you. This is like really about getting out of your own way, getting out of this, like if you've been stuck in solitude and in the hermit mode for too long, it's time to get out and go do something, okay? You think someone is lying. They are. So trust your intuition, okay? This is what part of what I'm getting from this is that this message is essentially like we're going with this repression card. Remember, repression is the things we don't want to know. So it's like if your intuition is saying that somebody is being dishonest with you, trust that intuition, okay? Don't repress what you know because you feel uncomfortable with knowing with what is being revealed. Get the fuck out of your head. Get in your heart. It misses you. This to me very much aligns with this guilt card. Guilt is a heady kind of thing. It's not a heart thing. So get out of your head. Let yourself out of that self-imposed mental prison, and forgive yourself from the guilt. You are talented and fucking amazing. The world needs your power. Use your voice. Just don't use it for dumb shit. So this is saying keep that narcissism in check, okay? It's saying like you do have something powerful to contribute. You do have a lot that you need to give to the world. Just keep it in balance. Just recognize that, you don't have to... Being powerful and using your voice doesn't necessarily mean that don't indulge those narcissistic tendencies if you have them. And the last card, stop fucking whining. No one wants to listen to that shit. Complaining makes you weak. You have the strength to change your world, so do it. That I love. I love this message because to me, and I said this in the reading yesterday, it came through in the reading yesterday, that a lot of times what I experience with people is this sense of where people they want like this magic wand, right? They want something to happen. They want things to just work out and they don't have to do anything. And it's just, and that's not reality. Nothing works if you don't work. It's like you can buy all the best workouts in the world. You can buy all the vegetables and healthy food in the world, but you have to fucking do it, right? You have to do the work. You have to, if you want to be a writer, you have to sit down and write. If you want to change your body, you got to get your ass in the gym. You got to change your diet. If you want to manifest the twin flame connection or soulmate connection into your life, you've got to do the work, period, plain and simple. It's like, stop whining. If you're not willing to do the work, then just accept that this is the choice that you're making. But what you don't need to do is complain about it and fuss and all of that. Because it's not working the way that you want it to, you're going to have to commit to getting down into the dirt and doing your own freaking work. If you're not willing to do the work, stop complaining. I know that sounds very, I know that sounds probably harsher than I mean it to, but just please know that that's coming through with deep, deep love. That this is the same way I deal with myself. It's like you can't complain about things that you're not willing to actively take the steps to change. If I'm not willing to, get my ass up and meditate every day, I can't complain about the fact that it's not like that I have a lack of peace of mind, if that makes sense. Remember, this journey is about getting out of your own way. Your task is not to seek for love, it's to find all the blocks that you have within you, okay? All right, now 3 messages from the language of letting go. Setting my own course. Today I will realize that I'm powerless over other people's expectations of me. I'll think about what I want and consider that how I respond to others' needs will affect the course of my life. I will own my inner power and choose the course that's right for me. Focusing on substance. Today I will focus on the substance in my life. I will fill in the lines of myself with the real person, me. I will concentrate on the substance of my relationships and the other areas of my life, not the trappings. Beautiful. And finally, learning lessons at work. I think this came through earlier this week. Today I will accept my present circumstances on the job. I will reflect on the fact that what I'm learning in my life applies to what I'm learning at work. I believe that I'm right where I need to be, both at home and at my job. So for those of you that might be feeling some struggle with the work environment, it's like, just keep in mind that whatever you're learning, whatever lessons are coming through, are the lessons that are meant to come through. So just be very conscious and be very mindful of that, and take those lessons and apply them as they resonate for you. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. It's certainly a little bit different than what we've done in the past. Certainly a lot more lighthearted. Well, intended to be lighthearted. I think some pretty strong messages came through. But I hope you enjoyed it and it gave you a little bit of couple of laughs for this journey, something to keep you going. Let me know if you resonated with this reading and if you'd like me to do more of them. I'd be more than happy to continue because I actually really liked it. So I hope you'll have a great day. I'll talk with you soon. Bye.